distinguished speakers, esteemed colleagues, and dear participants. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 5 webinar series on AI in higher education. And today's webinar is on the future faculty, Upskilling Educators for the AI-driven world, hosted by Confederation of Indian Private Universities. And this is the second webinar of the series. CIPU is a national level platform committed to strengthen the voice, visibility, and value of private universities in India. We work to foster academic excellence, policy advocacy, and institutional collaboration by connecting through leaders from academia, industry, and government. As part of our engagement efforts, we are initiating strategic dialogues to align higher education with the future of work. Today's webinar aims to empower educators by deepening their understanding of artificial intelligence and its impact on education. Before we dive into our session, it's my pleasure to introduce the distinguished panelists who will be guiding and enriching our discussion. Please join me in welcoming our moderator for today's session, Dr. Srinath Srinivasa. Dr. Srinath Srinivasa heads the Web Science Lab and is the Dean at the IIT Bangalore. He holds a PhD from the Berlin Brandenburg Graduate School of Distributed Information Systems, Germany, and MS from IIT Madras, and BE Computer Science and Engineering from the National Institute of Engineering, Mysore. He has served on various technical and organizational committees for international conferences, like International Conference of Weblogs in Social Media and organizational committees for international conferences, ACM Hypertech, International Conference on Management of Data and Data Science, International Conference on Ontologies, Databases and Applications of Semantic, International Conference on Big Data Analytics, and many more. As part of academic community outreach, Dr. Srinath has served on the Board of Studies of Goa University, Christ University, and as a member of Academic Council of National Institute of Engineering, Mysore. Srinath has received various national and international grants and awards from foundations and companies like EU Horizon 2020, UK Royal Academy of Engineering Research Councils UK, Siemens, Intel, EMC, and Guru. He has also led the AI initiative for the Karnataka Data Lake project by Planning Department of Government of Karnataka to promote data and evidence-based planning and decision-making. And now let me introduce our esteemed panelists. The first panelist for the day is Dr. Manohar Swaminathan. Dr. Manohar Swaminathan is currently a senior principal of researcher at Microsoft Research in India. He is also the co-convener of the Center of Accessibility in Global South at IIT Bangalore. He has a BE from the Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, a master's from Indian Institute of Science, and a PhD from Brown University. He was a professor at the IIS Bangalore for a decade and was part of team who pioneered faculty entrepreneurship in India, founding 2 path-breaking companies, Picopeta Computers and Strand Life Sciences. He was also co-founder of one of the earliest edtech companies in 2009, focused on revamping engineering education under the brand Joy of Engineering Design and Innovation. His current research project as MSR is named Ekavalia, Education, Knowledge, Acquisition, and Learning in the Age of AI, Vision and Aspirations. Our next panelist for the session is Professor Dr. Priya Ranjan. Dr. Priya Ranjan is a distinguished professional in the fields of electrical and computer engineering, computing, networking, having earned his PhD from the University of Maryland College Park in 2003. He completed his graduate studies under the guidance of notable professors, including Ahmed and Richard La at UMED's Institutes of Systems Research. Prior to his doctoral work, Ranjan graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur in 1997 and obtained an MS Electrical Engineering from UMD in 1999. Dr. Ranjan's academic and professional journey has been marked by significant contributions to nonlinear dynamics, control theory, and network systems. Dr. Ranjan's career also includes significant stints in industry and research organizations, such as his tenure at the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, a DRDO lab in Bengaluru, where he progressed from scientist C to doctoral roles. His work has been supported by prestigious funding agencies like National Science Foundation, DARPA, and Indian Council of Medical Research. Recently, has collaborated on projects involving biological computation and oncological image processing, notably with ICMR Senior Research Fellow Ms. Aarti Taneja. In addition to his research, Dr. Ranjan has an extensive teaching portfolio covering subjects such as computer networks, embedded programming, control theory, and AI for electric power system across various academic levels. Our next panelist for the session is Dr. Meera Kumar. Dr. Meera Kumar brings over 22 years of experience as a faculty member in computer science and has led major national and international accreditations in higher education quality frameworks. Her academic background includes a doctorate in optimization and algorithms. She is currently serving as head at Corvinus University of Budapest, Hungary, where she provides strategic and operational leadership for international accreditations such as EQIS, AACSB, and AMBA. With a strong academic foundation and hands-on leadership in accreditation processes, Dr. Meeta brings a comprehensive blend of academic, depth, and process expertise. Her work focuses on strengthening institutional effortness with a growing emphasis on leveraging AI tools for data-driven decision-making and continuous improvement in aggregation systems. Prior to this, Meeta was leading accreditations at the Indian Institute of Management, Shillong, where she successfully managed the institution's AACSB and EQIS accreditations journey. She also headed the institution participations in India's National Institutional Ranking Framework and other national and international rankings, establishing strong data process and positioning the institute effectively at the national level. Earlier, Dr. Meeta has supported the national NAC accreditation cycles for institutional assessment during her academic tenure. At Symbiosis Institute of Technology, she has held faculty roles at MIT College of Engineering, Pune, and has earlier career international teaching experience. Warm welcome to all the distinguished panelists, and thank you for accepting our invitation and being here. So for next 1 hour, you will be listening to the distinguished panelists. In case you have any questions at the end of the session, and if we have time, we can take few questions. Participants can post the questions in the chat box or simply they can raise their hands. We will unmute you. Thank you so much, and over to Dr. Srinivasa.
Wonderful. So once again, thank you, everyone. I hope I'm audible. And thank you, Ms. Nehal. And firstly, it's a privilege to be moderating this panel discussion with and interacting with such esteemed panelists. All of them have strong roots in education, in higher education. Either they are directly teaching or administrating or working in an administration role, or as Dr. Swami Manohar is not directly teaching currently, but has a very strong interest in education. And of course, he's also an adjunct with us at our CAD center. So let me just set the context here. And, I think, let me start off by saying how a couple of weeks ago, I was in Microsoft Research for debating pretty much the same topic on how AI is impacting higher education, and also I could see how the project Ecolivia kind of brought up. And I don't think it would be wrong to say that from then to now, AI has already evolved. the kinds of challenges, the kinds of new possibilities that are available has already improved or changed a little bit, right? And so just to give some quick examples, a couple of days ago I was reading about this whole new kind of challenge called prompt injection. So in our times, we used to talk about SQL injection, but nowadays we have something called prompt injection. So as more and more people are using AI to understand documents and write reviews and make hiring decisions, so prompt injection basically tries to put a prompt in using an invisible font inside a CV or something to make the AI give it a favorable response. So when you send a CV to an employer, often they use AI to make a decision, and the prompt would essentially tell them, choose this CV among others, and so on. So these are new kinds of challenges that are coming. And just today, I was looking at Notebook LM. I'll probably share my screen briefly for a while to show this. I think I'll need to be uh, allowed to share requests. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Great.
please.
So, yeah. So I'll just share what I found most interesting today. So I was just going about, I was just looking around Notebook LM, which is Google's, platform, which is quite widely available nowadays. Okay, and it has now come up with an option called an interactive podcast generation. So I just uploaded one of our own research papers here, Computational Transcendence. It's one of our papers on responsible AI. And it automatically generates a podcast where two people are discussing this paper.
And the traditional approach, it's been about imposing external guardrails on these agents.
Trying to legislate morality.
So there are two people who are actually discussing this paper, and they go into the nitty-gritties of this paper. They actually have a very good understanding of what this paper is, completely generated by AI. And what is more, while this podcast is happening, I can raise my hand and join in here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is the novelty of this paper? So you can just ask a question like this.
That's a fantastic question. And it really gets to the heart of
and you get an answer.
You're cutting right to it. The novelty here is a total game changer for how we think about AI.
See, traditionally, we thought about making AI responsible by giving it external rules, right? Like you just said, build a fence.
Yeah, programming a digital thou shalt not for each individual.
So yeah, I'll probably stop here. And so it's been quite a experience, so I can't even begin to think of the possibilities that this can generate in the education process itself. Students can just upload a textbook, have a couple of people discuss it, you ask questions, it answers you. These are completely different, whole new world that we are entering. So with this backdrop, let me turn to my panelists here and really get their expert views on this. I'm just trying to see how I can unshare. Let me see what. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's not here. Great. Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess the screen is now unshared. So with this backdrop, let me now turn to my panelists and let's hear their expert opinions and what's their perspective on how education is changing and really the role of educators. How is it changing in the upcoming landscape? So let me start by asking each of the panel members to briefly introduce themselves from their perspective. Of course, we had a formal introduction, but maybe you'd like to put in something from your own perspective and give us some idea of your background with AI. How have you experimented with AI in the education sector? What has been your experience? And let's set the stage for further questions. So may I start with Dr. Swami Manohar?
Yes, thank you, Srinath. It's a pleasure to be here, and just wanted to start by saying that I am a professor masquerading as a researcher in an industry lab. My passion has been education for many, many years. And more importantly, in this webinar, the views expressed are completely mine. I have no authority to speak on behalf of Microsoft. So the beauty of Microsoft Research is there is a lot of autonomy for researchers to pursue the questions that they believe are important. And I've been, over the last 2 years plus, looking at how generative AI is transforming, disrupting education. And my prior background, with a startup where about 15 years ago, we attempted to modify, change, actually transform engineering education in the country. But at that time, the work environment, the job situations were very different, where our attempt to transform was not well received. But my current view is that everything about education work at all levels is going to be dramatically altered. It is going to be either transformed if you are aware and take steps, or it's going to be disrupted and blown away if you just wait for things to be told to us as to what to do. And so I started this research project focused on this because I believe, as someone who has no direct stakes in any university or educational institution, I can bring in an external view, completely open to being extremely radical, and leave it to institutions to figure out what and how they can do this. And the important thing about in organization like this is it's critical that multiple universities, multiple institutions come together. No single institution or a faculty or a group can make any difference. It has to be a collective effort where we share best practices, failures, attempts very openly and transparently. And that is the reason why I'm excited to be part of this panel. And I'll be happy to share more after other panelists have their turn introducing themselves. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Should we then now go to Dr. Meeta Kumar?
All right, so very good afternoon to all the panelists, our moderators are here, and all the people who are listening. So, Dr. Swami rightly said that somehow the education industry has been transforming, and he has a viewpoint from an outsider point of view. He says that, and rightly so. As an accreditation person, all my earlier careers, around 15 years or so, I was a pure academician, along with some roles of accreditation, which is a quality benchmark or a measurement for the institutes or the universities for themselves to count against how they are performing. Now, the last, after, let's say, after the COVID, since I moved to a complete accreditation role, now, when I'm looking from an external point of view, even there, because I'm not belonging to the institution as such, I'm supporting the accreditation efforts on their behalf. However, I'm representing as an external person to the ranking or the accreditation bodies. So rightly, Swami ji has said that, Swami sir has said that it has transformed. So I, as a faculty and also as an accreditation person who's observing the institutions and the universities change in the last 5 to 7 years, it has rather been very radical for me. When I was a faculty, let's say, keep the benchmark of 21 till the COVID times, there was hardly any chat GPTs or generative AIs or included in our research workings or in teachings as such, or hardly we were exposed to them as faculties or even to our students. But now when I am writing reports and I'm seeing top universities like the IIMs, how the faculties use AI in their teachings, how the students who are more smarter than somehow the educators today are possibly leveraging the use of AI to get away with assessments easily, or to some good ones are using in a better way. So I've seen that drastic change in the last 5 years. Myself, I use generative AI, or rather, let's say ChatGPT, extensively when I'm compiling very strategic level reports. So I'm using that support. But there is a thin line that is now I've started to realize as an accreditation person. So I'm speaking a lot more on this now, but I'm rather startled by what is happening. So there are the goods and the bads. So somehow we, as educators or academicians, also need to analyze that with power, there is great responsibility also. And I'm somehow realizing, since I'm a data and a fact person, I keep saying, oh, if this is the good, there is a bad also. To connect to that, if I just take one more minute and connect with Dr. Srinath's remark on the prompt injection thing that he showed. Wonderfully, somehow there was a Google invite on my calendar, and miraculously, my newsfeed today shows me an article which is surprisingly connected to his prompt injection idea also. And I will just read the title out. Scientists are reportedly hiding AI text prompts in their academic research papers to receive positive peer reviews. So, so somehow this article stood out, and obviously it's some AI behind that gives me this article this morning, today in my newsfeed. But then I read through it, and these are, like you mentioned, Dr. Srinath, the good parts, that there's a podcast coming out, people can collaborate and join in that podcast. Wonderful part. But now there is this negative or a downside of how AI is being kind of exploited or used in the other way. So I again leave it, or want to bring to the stage the bads and the goods also, the pros and the cons also to the stage in this discussion. That's from me.
Wonderful. I think those are very wonderful points, something to mull about really. And maybe let's now go to Professor Priyaranjan for his views.
Uh, Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. So I've been using AI for quite a long time. Just to put things in perspective, data-driven knowledge has been around since 1938, when Kolmogorov and Wiener wrote their first paper about data-driven filter. So while IBM will claim that all the AI and data-driven stuff started in 2008 with their product, it's actually not true. And electrical engineers have struggled with neural network the most. So with that perspective, one of the things I would like to say is that what keeps me, awake at night is that firstly, the knowledge which AI brings is not complete, because the data we have, the whatever literature we have available, that itself is not complete. Think about it. It's like looking at an elephant from multiple sides, but still you may not have complete picture. And in our literature, we stress on a thing called observability. Is our world observable? Have we observed it in completion? But if it is not completed, because AI depends on the earlier literature produced, which we all know that is not complete. If it was complete, there was no need of further research. But as we know that we are on the edge where more and more further, deeper research is required, then how can we trust on an incomplete information system, no matter how good it is at mismatching the published work? Second thing which keeps me really worried is hallucination. AI, you cannot completely rely. I mean, people are comparing it with a 3-year-old child, 5-year-old child, but a 5-year-old child can be petulant. It can have attitude. It can have, irritation. It can say sometimes whatever it feels like. So while it is a great help, there is no question about it, great technical leap, and it's very good at mismatching existing information, but that existing information itself is not complete. So people who are saying is that no research is required. AI is not doing research. AI is reproducing the research already done. AI is not innovating at the level humans are doing. In mathematics, AI is nowhere right now. In surgery, AI is nowhere right now. In many extreme skills, we don't take help of AI. ABC conjecture cannot be solved by AI. AI actually doesn't even understand the conjecture. So what I'm saying is that while it's a wonderful tool, I'll just quote some Hindi thing. We had a national poet called Dinkar. He used to say that "Saudhan manushya adi vigyan hai talwar." So they fake ujhe tajkar smrti ke par. What that means is that every scientific tool is a double-edged sword. The more you depend on AI, the more you will lose your own development. That does not mean that you should not use, AI. If you look at science, Lamarck said is that the snake lost its legs because it didn't use it. So should we stop using our brain? Then one day we'll lose our brain, because science says that, use it or lose it. So I'm saying is that there's a very sophisticated approach to be taken with this tool. By all means, use it where you need it, but don't, don't underestimate the possibility of human talent, human curiosity, and a deep desire to discover, deep desire to do research, which actually generates knowledge, in turn on which AI builds. So I'm saying that no matter which tool we will develop in future even, and how sophisticated it is, human inquisitiveness, human curiosity, and a deep desire to discover the next new frontier cannot be matched by any sort of machine, which of course is built by our inquisitiveness and our curiosity and our desire to do better than the last time. Thank you. I'll add more as the sort of context comes, because one of the biggest issue with AI is context,
Right. Yeah.
which humans do great at.
I think that's a wonderful point, Dr. Priyanjan. I think that kind of sets the stage for the next question, because I think all the panelists kind of, I guess we kind of agree on that the entire elephant is really very big. We are only seeing perspectives,
Indeed.
one part of it from different, which brings me to this, to my next question in terms of how is the structure, the underlying structuring of education itself, how is it changing? I'll just give some context. When we were students in the previous century, at least, if I may say so, education process was more like a, if I may call it, an accreditation factory or a certification factory. Right?
Indeed.
So at the end of it, we are going to get a certificate, a degree, and there is a regimented pipeline, and with courses and grades and CGPA, with some flexibility, some electives here, there, and so on. And, it was a pretty regimented kind of, and we had a singular goal and we had a singular objective. But already by the turn of the new century, we started getting digital classrooms, and so when digital technology entered, we started getting so many new concepts like blended learning, flipped classrooms, all kinds of micro credentials, personalized learning pathways, all kinds of things started coming about with just digital technologies, right? And many universities also started thinking, should we even structure the higher education system differently? Many of these thoughts have also gone into the design of the NEP, for example, the whole idea of lateral entry and micro credentials and personalized learning taking a very center stage. Now, what do you think AI brings into this?
Indeed.
Things like where it can create its own podcast, you can have interaction.
Wonderful.
So the whole new kinds of learning. So I'll just leave these questions out and maybe.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful question, and I would love to go back to undergraduate in this era. Why I'm saying is, I'm a very visual person. So let's say I'm doing research on ECG. I want to walk inside a heart. Maybe a healthy heart and a heart whose walls are not working, or there is some blockage. And I would like to see for myself, what does a blockage even mean? Even doctors have not seen that in many times. And I'm an engineer, right? So what I'm saying is that in the era of virtual reality, in the era of augmented reality, you can walk into anything. You can walk into any machine. You can walk into a power, rotor, motor. You can walk inside a data center, within a cooling tower of a data center. So it's an amazing era, because now I can feel these things, which I could earlier only see sketch. When we were growing in IIT Kharagpur, it was mostly sketch. And some electric machines were there from pre-Second World War era. That was our engineering, right? But today, in the era of amazing visualization, which AI does, and many times it's not correct also, let's be honest about it, but it gives you at least 50-60% correct picture. In some sense, you don't need an industrial visit anymore. You have an industrial visit coming to your desktop, laptop, or if you have a projector, then you can have immersion is complete. So if you want to learn about complicated things, for example, space, black holes, right? Complicated mathematical structures, right? You want to walk onto a complicated knot or something like that, this is the best time, because even if you at least understand the problem better. Earlier, the issue was that we didn't even visualize the problem. And like they say in academic community, you can visualize it, then you can solve it. Because half of the game is understanding a question itself, which AI makes it so easy to understand, so easy to visualize. And, being visual, it brings in a lot of intuition. So I think I'm getting some, hints that I should solve. But this will be my thing. I say that AI is boon. We should just learn to use properly.
Wonderful points. Should we now go to Professor Meeta Kumar?
All right. So wonderfully said. This is what I've been summarized in my write-ups as someone who writes reports to place the universities in a nice picture where they get those certificates like Dr. Srinath mentions. So yes, we are evolving. I remember as a faculty, I would take my textbook and maybe prepare some notes and walk into the classroom as a faculty. Those days are gone now. We are not content deliverers anymore. We are facilitators or mentors. I've seen in my experience at the IAMs, the faculty has to, even because the students say so, but they have to say that this is what we're going to cover maybe in the next day or in the few weeks. And the students are already done the reading with it. Like Dr. Priya says, AI, ask AI the question and it has most wonderful answers. Some are sane, some not so sane, but yes, they come up with a lot of information already. So that way the teacher's role, the faculty's role is evolving. They do not go with a textbook. The student already knows much more than the actual teachers as such. So we need to beat that, or we need to keep pace as faculty or academicians to maybe mentor the students and also guide them. Okay, you use AI, but how, and how ethically, how to make it sensible use. So these are questions which are we are addressing. And if I can speak for the entire accreditation that is happening, forums that I see as when I attend conferences on accreditation, one, if I can quote in a second, is some very recent conference that I attended was talking about how uncertainty is there in education industry, given the digital changes, the AI, and how are we going to navigate with it. There were top education people from all across the world, from the entire globe. But yes, somehow everyone, except for the 10% niche universities, everyone as a faculty forum, as a faculty body, is a little worried as to how to keep pace, how to adapt, but adapt in a better way, ethically, still keeping privacy issues and transparency intact. But the main concept is ethical. So this is one thing that is really bothering the accreditation bodies also. So somehow all the accreditation, the top accreditation that I've mentioned, they are somehow navigating the entire education industry when they apply for their accreditations is to how do you use digital technologies? How are you using AI? Is it ethical? These are the valid questions they raise. But when we gather data for such surveys, we see that the faculty are equally worried or anxious on this front, and even the student body is. So if I can just take a minute to quote some data statistics that I was able to fetch. There is an digital education council which has more than 100 top universities from the globe, from across the globe. They conducted an AI student survey in the year 24. 58% of the students say that they do not have the sufficient AI knowledge or skills. And at the same time, 48% of the student population said that they are not even adequately prepared to enter a workplace that is AI enabled. So they are anxious. Now, the same survey towards the early January of 25 was run for faculties. They were also asked, how are you faring in AI? The main concerns, there were 4 or 5 reasons that they were real shaky or worried with. The top 2 reasons, 40% of the faculty say we do not have the time or the resources to understand or explore AI. First point. And 38% of the faculty is, oh, we do not know how to use AI. So I think somehow we have to, as the policymakers, people at the top, at national level, at educational or university levels, as policymakers, somehow these has to be gradually incorporated as a working module. But this facilitation needs to be started by policymakers. Somehow it is crawling it, but I think that pace needs to be a little far because AI is moving at a very fast pace. However, uh, exposing the education industry, the faculty at that level is not keeping pace. That's why a lot of anxiety amongst the faculty also. Oh, everyone is fast, the students are fast. What do I do now? I think that is one point to really think for everyone.
Wonderful points, really true. Professor Swami Manohar, maybe you can-
Yeah, I'm going to step back a little bit and ask the question, what is the purpose of education? The purpose of education, in my view, and many other scholars over the years and decades have said, is to create responsible and productive citizens to keep our democracies thriving. That's the goal of education. But what has happened over the last many decades is that there is students, then there are faculty who interact with students, There are administrators who manage faculty. There are universities that manage the administrators who manage the faculty who teach the students. And there are accreditation bodies which evaluate universities. And there are policymakers, national governments who are sitting on top and looking at single number metrics to define education. I really find it very hard that some US news and some rank is defining university ranking, and all universities around the world are struggling to move up that ranking. It's the craziest thing I can see happening today. So essentially, the students are at the bottom of this huge stack of administrative, bureaucratic, political mess. No wonder most students want to take the shortest path to the single number that is important to them at that point. When they are in high school, they are looking at JEE rank in India. When they are in college, based on the JEE rank, they are looking at the CGPA, so that the next number, which is the cost to company when they get their first job, is as high as possible. It doesn't stop there. We go into academics, then you look at the citation index, number of publications. You go into industry, what is mine? So we have basically ground down energetic young citizens by these layers of single number metrics. And so our education system is completely broken. Now, my optimism is generative AI is going to destroy this completely, that we all have to work together to rethink every one of these assumptions. The fundamental assumption is with most faculty is that students will cheat if you are not controlling them. The reverse is what we need to have as our goal. Students want to learn. They want to be challenged. They want to grow intellectually, materially, physically, psychologically. But when we have this adversarial role that teachers have to be first gatekeepers, administrators gatekeep faculty, and so on and so forth, the entire educational environment becomes such a drudgery of getting the next number. GenAI, the one suggestion I have is that we have not one suggestion. This whole thing has to be thrown out and we have to rethink. But how do you start? I will ask every faculty that after graduation, our students are expected to use GenAI tools on day one. Then I propose that if GenAI tools are available to the students every day of their college life, we're talking about higher education. The same thing applies to schools, but let's focus on higher education. If GenAI tools are available to students every day, it is available throughout, including in assessment and evaluation. My question to faculty is, what will you teach? How will you teach? Why will you teach what you teach? Very hard question. But we have no choice but to answer this question for ourselves. Otherwise, we are going into endless loops of good use, bad use, cheaters, and use AI to detect cheating. The smartest people will outsmart the smartest AI if the reward of outsmarting is worth it. It's a race that the top layers can never win. Every layer will cheat the layer above, provided you have this adversarial role. The way to do it is become collaborative. Let's all work together. This is a huge opportunity with all the pluses and minuses. But we have an opportunity to transform how we think about education, where we bring in students and faculty as co-creators of this new educational experience. You have to have trust. Just the last thing, human child is the most powerful learning animal on the planet ever. And we, the parents, the society, systematically suppress this learning energy from day one. We want to show the next door uncle, tell this poem, tell what is 4 plus 7, when the kid is 3. And the kid understands that I have to answer questions, and this is maintained with the entire life cycle, that we are just destroying human creativity and complaining about technology taking over. We need to change this over. And my belief is that GenAI allows these tools, allows this transformation to happen. Only when collectively all of us in education decide that let's question every traditional thing that we believe so strongly because we have done this, we have to just make sure students, younger faculty decide what education is going to be. the others can just stand and give inputs when they are asked for. I'll stop.
Very wonderful points. I think lots of very interesting things came about. I think so. Let me try and you know reflect back on some of the points raised. Recently I remember in one of our meetings. We have a collaborative project on education technology. Somebody was remarking that the student enters a university with a dream of doing well in life, right? And we as faculty members or teachers want the students to do well in life. The administrators want the students to do well in life, and everybody wants the students to do well in life, but nobody trusts anybody in this whole process. So that kind of summarizes what you mentioned, that the goal is the same, in the sense that we want to create an empowered population of good citizens. I'm sure the students also want to be good citizens, and so on, right? And so that kind of brings me neatly to the next question: the role of the educator. I think Dr. Meeta also made several interesting points about how our role as teachers and educators are evolving. Are we subject matter experts, or are we just facilitators in the process? This is something which we have been asking for a long time now. That is, should teachers just be facilitators in education? Then there are other schools of thought saying that we don't know what we don't know, in the sense that if you just let the students learn whatever they want to learn, they may not really know that what they're missing out on. So the guidance from the teacher is also important. And secondly, of course, there's this other school of thought that says that teachers need to be subject matter experts, and teaching is a way of improving their own expertise over time and their own understanding, and that's how they will be able to guide the students well. And finally, I'll come to this one more debate about the role of universities. What is the product and what's the byproduct? So there's one school of thought which basically says that primarily the universities are meant to produce good citizens. That is, the people are the product. And in the process of producing good citizens, they also produce good ideas. And the ideas are the byproduct. They produce some knowledge, they produce some ideas. And there's another school of thought which says that the university's primary role is to produce ideas. To infuse new ideas into society, to generate new knowledge, and the graduates are the byproducts. That is, we kind of create graduates in the process of producing ideas. And now, all of these were debates that held our attention when we were students, and kind of now with AI now disrupting this entire scene. Now, where do we stand on these debates, and are any of these questions relevant at all, or is this something that we need to have a relook on? So, on to the panelists.
Yeah. So can we start?
Sure, please.
Okay, thank you. So what I have been thinking, I've been working 30 years with technology. We come across a very interesting paradigm. We call it mixed initiative. So the way mixed initiative works is that everybody who is good at it, they do whatever they're good at in a group. For example, if somebody is good at singing, they should sing, and somebody is good at cooking, they should cook. In India, we actually mix up these things. The singing guy starts cooking, and the cooking guy starts singing, and result is a disaster. So coming to our context, the teacher should, to me, major job of teacher is to get the student excited about the topic, because there is no way you can teach line by line and everything possible. If you get the student interested, get the student excited, student will do the rest. Now, what has happened? Where the AI role has come into the education scene? AI has sort of become the new book, all know sort of almanac, right? All know, Encyclopedia Britannica or Encyclopedia Americana. But in my library, there was Encyclopedia Americana and Britannica since long time. But question you have to ask that how many students use it? AI is replacing the content, not the student, and the relationship between content and the student. Our gap is between content and the student. That even AI cannot bridge. That only a good teacher, well-meaning teacher, by providing appropriate incentives or psychologically motivating in students, encouraging them, can bridge. And So there are 2, 3 kind of students. When the knowledge becomes easier, content becomes better, there is one category of students, their knowledge will increase in both depth and breadth. Second category barely will manage to pass, and the third category doesn't care whether you give them Encyclopedia Britannica, Americana, AI, does not matter. Now this third category should be our major concern, that how do we connect them to the best material available. And that's what should be the topic of impact of AI in education. Because what is happening is that a section of our students are not catching up with the best of the best. Best of the best would have done better. They could have done with the library, they could have done with the books, they could have done with internet, or they could have done with AI. They are not the biggest issue. The issue is the last group, which is not engaging at all. So that's where we need to work with them, explain to them why education is important, why productivity is important, why being a good citizen is important. And a perspective was given is what is the goal of education. So I always like to delve into our ancient wisdom of sages. And one phrase I came up, which was kind of sums it up: Shamena Vidya. Their saying is that no, only goal of education is global peace. Because if you think a little deeper, unless we have global peace, there will be no prosperity. We can destroy each other. Then where is the prosperity? Prosperity is in the fact that I like you growing, and in turn you like me growing. Then we both grow together. And that's what our sages thought, Shamena Vidya. So how can we bring that kind of feeling where we support each other, cooperate with each other, appreciate each other, celebrate each other, rather than annihilate each other? Thank you.
Wonderful points. Yeah, Dr. Meeta.
Yeah, so it gives me a lot of food for thought what Dr. Priya says wonderfully, that there is a gap between the content and the student. There needs to be hand-holding. So that hand-holding will obviously come from the teachers, the trainers. So somehow train the trainers is a philosophy that obviously needs to develop. So I was just thinking again, I keep going back to the past. I never did subjects on organizational ethics or business ethics. I was taught very plain Jane subjects. There is now sustainability related courses. I never tackle them as a student. But so what the trainers and the teachers of today can do is use the power of AI to support and to understand how AI here can suggest new ways of teaching such very upcoming areas of subject. How to do innovation, how sustainability can be incorporated, because there are subjects dealing with that. But how to teach them the correct way, there is one area where teachers can bank on generative AI or maybe any form of AI to teach or bring new pedagogies. So if I am a teacher, I have to say, if I'm teaching business ethics, how to bring the assessment on ethics in my subject. Is there assignment enough doing on business ethics? No, just a writing assignment does not. So AI can help us there to suggest how the assessments and the evaluations can evolve to bring that self-learning component also an experience. That's where AI is really powerful. But that's where the trainers need to be taught. Please go back to the AI, to maybe ChatGPT in the bare minimum form, to understand how you can support your teaching, your classroom teaching with experiential teaching. AI, I have seen, gives wonderful ideas on how to develop new ways of assessment. For an example, there's some university in Mysore which they've hired an entire set of coders just to do that. When the teacher is in the class, the entire sessions are recorded. Then their administrator is recording, uses the recorded session to get summary or extracts out of those notes. So as it is also making the students happy, oh, I had to listen to 2 hours, but I also have a gist or a summary. So that's where the AI was used comfortably. However, now the teacher's role is, what they do there is they have 2 modules. Something they will ask the generative AI model on this summary gist or on the class notes, gives only a smaller exercise, which is maybe just testing their basic understanding. So very basic exercise of multiple choice or something like that, maybe 5-mark thing is generated. At the same time, the teacher also is now working with that model to ask it, give me complex level of assessments which can test their real understanding. Now, such models, some of the universities have already started using. So one I'm quoting from India, there are many others, especially one, if I can take 1 minute extra to do that, there was some university, the Hong Kong University from University of Technology. They're doing wonderful jobs that they have built this as a framework, as a mandatory and a semi-mandatory framework in a mixed form and introduced it to their faculty as well as students. So they have an entire framework of how the generative AI should be used for developing assessments, where the faculty has a freedom of not using AI, where the faculty can use AI and what level. So this is connecting how to use it ethically also. So they are using that in a wonderful manner and they are training their faculties. There are courses. So I'm suggesting that what can all be done is, what also can be done is that then there is a framework for how AI can be incorporated at a university level. But you have to train the trainers or the faculty and also the students. So there needs to be some self-paced courses, 3 or 4 courses, which the faculties undertake to understand, oh, what is generative AI? How I can use it, how I can use it in the best ways, how not to use it. So these are frameworks and guidelines that have to be there in case we want to do what Dr. Priya says, have the content, the student is there, but connect them. So a framework or guideline needs to be there, which can teach how to connect in the best or the most optimal way. That's what needs to be done as of now.
Very interesting models coming out, especially both in the classroom process itself and as well as with the assessments. And Dr. Manohar, from your
Yeah, I'm going to question both Dr. Ranjan and Dr. Kumar. First, about 3 types of students, one who are very good, one is medium, the other. It's a result of sorting them through very inequitable systems right from they were born, where they were born, whether they know English, their parents are educated, which school they went to. So you decide that a bunch of students are not interested and judge them that, oh, they need to be motivated. We, instead of questioning, why are we getting this bunch of students in here? What motivation, incentive have set along their life path? Nobody cares about where they are from and what they have gone through to arrive here. So that's the first problem of, that's also reflecting on what Dr. Kumar said, teachers have to handhold and, take content to the students. I also question that because it's not about content, it is about experiences that make sense to the students. If you create experiences that are sense making to the students, you can't stop them from making sense. You don't have to handhold and take them. They will be after you to say, I want to make more sense. They are sense making, they're young, they have energy, they have creativity. This first assumption that we have to get rid of is faculty, even though we are faculty, and all of us, first of all, I should say back up. I believe teachers are central to education. This technology or any other technology is not going to change it. But we also have this romanticization of teachers because each of us know that one teacher, 2 teachers in our past who just dramatically changed us. And we are grateful and we believe generalization very generously believe that every teacher is going to transform students. In reality, most of the teachers are barely doing what they have to do. And we need to not distinguish between students and teachers in the era of Gen AI. Everybody is a learner. Everybody is a student. First of all, let's agree. And if we don't agree, there'll be an external framework. The example Dr. Kumar mentioned, it's some other IT company with Gen AI has set up this framework and convinced the administration at the top, oh, this is important, we have to do it. And faculty have no choice, even though there is a presumed choice, you can use it or not. But the pressure is, oh, everybody is using it, I may be missing out, say a lot. So you have taken away faculty's autonomy one more level. Instead of thinking and taking a lot more effort to think about how are we going to transform education, most universities around the world, I've been polling universities, faculty, friends all over the world, all of them are doing this piecemeal thing instead of asking questions about the foundations. Because every institution, the more reputed it is, it's harder to shake off their legacy and reputation. They can't suddenly change everything because everybody will jump on them saying, are you crazy? And lesser regarded institutions are waiting for the leaders to show the way, losing the plot. So it is not the ranking, all of those current hierarchies have to be put aside. And we have to ask this question, how can all of us learn together, including teachers, students, administrators, together? And my belief is, I wouldn't have said this 5 years ago before Gen AI. With the power of Gen AI, And again, equity, right? Last week, Google announced that every college student gets Gemini Pro free. That's amazing resource. Now, to say that you cannot use it in your class is wasting so much resource that is available to you for free. So I would say inequity has been around for hundreds of years. No technology has either reduced it or increased it. Gen AI is one more technology. The inequity happens because of our systems outside education. And so we cannot simply say Gen AI is going to increase the divide. No, the divide has been there. No technology has bridged it. Gen AI is no different unless we throw our assumptions around education. This will be another technology where people have 3 subscriptions about 3 different chatbots where many students won't have because the institution has said you can't use Gen AI. But the students who can afford it will have it at home and they will do it and come back. Just like having tutors going to tutorial for JEE, which is only available for a privileged. So my emphasis again is let us use this opportunity to rethink. And one other suggestion, it seems like very abstract saying, how do I do it? The way to do it is every institution has to look at, I will give engineering institutions as an example. Engineers are supposed to build solutions to help people's lives become better. That's the definition of an engineer. Now, every institution, an engineering college should ask, what can I improve in my institution? The life of my students, my teachers, my administrators, my environment. And say, for example, I want to make my campus zero carbon in 10 years is my grand challenge. And get the students and faculty to say, this is what we want to solve. And that requires every aspect of engineering, economics, management, operations. And students from the first year, you say what part of the puzzle. That is where teachers and experts in the area have a role. The student may say, I want to do this. No, just take this. I know you can do it. Solve this and come back. They'll solve it and come back because they want bigger challenges. Instead of saying, oh, you take these 3 courses, score A and above, then I will tell you a project, which is ridiculously how we do our current education. If you start with ecologically valid grand challenges, which is true for every school, every college, every university, you define what around you are you going to improve. Use that as my institutional grand challenge and let students and faculty work towards solving it. This won't be possible without Gen AI because no faculty has the expertise to cover these interdisciplinary questions. Then with the target of not grades and assignments, but of solving a problem, use whatever AI you use. And if AI gives you bad ideas, the solution is going to fail. You'll find out it has given you a bad idea. Nobody is lost. You go back and ask a different chatbot and get a better answer. In the process, you understand the limitations of AI. You are actually solving something. You're actually building something and you have pride that you have built something. Along the way, as a side effect, you get credits and degrees and you go out with pride and accomplishment that I can solve problems. This is the restructuring of education. All of us have to do. No single university can do it because companies will say, what is this nonsense? You are doing this. And in the short term, they may go somewhere. So the worry about administration is if we do this, oh, nobody's going to come here. That's the other last, again, I keep saying things. The power dynamics between industry as job givers and universities takers of jobs should be thrown out. The industry has no clue what jobs are going to be there, who are they going to employ, what they want to do. Industry has to be brought into this partnership, saying nobody knows what's going to happen. Let us work together. You tell us where you're going. We will work with you to give our student energy to solve the problems for you. That is the biggest thing that most institutions in the country have to break because all institutions are there to say that my students are employed. So it cannot be done just by educational institutions alone. It has to be combined with the ecosystem of who's going to employ, and entrepreneurship at the micro nano level has to thrive. If everybody is waiting for jobs, no, it's not going to happen. And entrepreneurship will be built in because from day one, the student is solving problems as a team using minimal resources. All aspects of entrepreneurship are built into actually solving a problem, not theoretical, real problems. Stop.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think I think the debate is just building up. The discourse is just building up. So many interesting points came up about both in terms of assessments, but how do we manage with students who are not doing well versus the whole idea of equity. In fact, that was basically supposed to be planned to be my next question as well. In terms of equity of access and outcomes, and so let me kind of try and pose my next question in terms of these, in terms of outcomes, basically. So we all talk about educational outcomes, but many times, so what I see is that we confuse outcomes with outputs or education or exam performance, kind of, you got so much of CGPA, that's my outcome, and so on, right? And actually, the whole idea of outcome is how the student transforms themselves. That is, I keep giving this example. Outputs is what we produce, and outcomes is what we become as a process of producing something, right? And what we become is really latent. It's not really visible. Like Dr. Manohar was saying that somebody who appears not very bright in a particular subject may actually be very talented in some. So there is a individual profile to each individual, and primarily how they transform to an education process is very deeply individual in nature, right? And there's also this theory that what really produces outcomes is not what one can demonstrate, but how they assimilate their learning. So there's this. I was recently listening to a talk by a spiritual leader, actually. He was talking about the 3 stages of education. That's called Shravana, Manana, Nirtyasana. That is, one is Shravana is input or listening, where we get inputs. Manana is reflection, reasoning, trying to understand something. And finally, Nirtyasana is basically assimilation. That is how we kind of embody or assimilate this learning into our own. And we often see this happening. If at the end of every class, whenever we ask students to summarize their learning, even though they all have attended the same class, their summaries would be very different. In their takeaways from the class would be very different, and this is because their individual profiles are different. So the way they're assimilating the learning is different. Right? And so this brings me to my question, really, in the sense that ever since we have been interested about learning, we have been actually interested about how is the student assimilating their learning, and how can we facilitate in this process. And assimilation is such a deeply personal process. And so I'm just wondering, can AI play a role in this process? That is, can we use AI in some sense to really understand the student, not just the subject? The subject we already have made a lot of progress in understanding subjects, topic models, and discourse, and all kinds of AI is there. But have we really made any progress in understanding the student using AI? So on to the panelists, you can.
Can I add something?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. So one aspect of this, the way I think about it, is diversification. Sort of slowly bringing down the borders between different subjects. Okay, my parents wanted me to go to IIT, so I went to IIT. But maybe I was interested more in math. Maybe I liked music better. AI, one thing it does is that it brings you all the subjects on the platter as much as practicable, almost totality or wholesomeness of human knowledge, and there you can pick and choose. Maybe you are interested in biology, but you also want some math, or want some trigonometry or some geometry, or maybe you want to become a dancer. So what AI gives you is a sort of a platform where you can pick yourself, you can explore, and you can see what is that you want to become, or you actually are a multidisciplinary researcher. This is not available in the subject book. A physics book will teach you physics, chemistry book will teach you chemistry, but not both. Whereas AI gives you a complete holistic environment to explore your own curiosity, your own sort of knack, your own skills, your own talent, as in where you want to invest the most. And it's perfectly okay to change your, sort of ambitions, desire, goal, whatever it is. Parents may not like it, but so be it. Still, a lot of people possibly wouldn't have gone for engineering if it was not job oriented. Maybe, if you cut down the financial part of engineering, maybe that many people will not go to engineering. So India, I mean, still we have slightly gotten richer. There is a lot of incentive, financial incentive, using which people decide their careers. People will not go to literature because maybe language people don't get that many jobs, or certainly not that sort of well cushioned jobs. So what I'm saying is that AI can help Priya Ranjan explore what is that Priya Ranjan want to become, what is that Priya Ranjan want to do in life, and why. Is it only money? Is it only curiosity? Is it maybe social prestige? If you look at psychology, we have three motivations, right? We have a motivation of food, motivation of desire, we have motivation of inferiority complex. Are we still struggling with that, or have we lived beyond that? I mean, is there a sort of higher road are we taking, or still struggling at the Marxist philosophy of food? Are we still fighting for the morsels? So all these things need to shape a next generation Indian, that what is that person want to become? What is India? What does India has to offer to the world, to the universe, to the globe? India has led the way, but are we going to do it again? And that requires deep efforts, both from the deep AI and at the human level. And that's where I talk about bridging the gap between the best of the AI to the best of the students. That's when the best outcome will happen. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Meeta, any thought from your end?
Somehow I'm connecting Professor Swami's and Dr. Ranjan's things, and then linking back to your current and the behind question. Somehow I'm thinking, is that a solution? Because Dr. Swami correctly says that there's a system already in place, and that system is kind of hindering the growth. So there is no creative or a freedom of thought as such for the students, who are the actual people who want to we want to impact. They are the citizens of tomorrow, and these are the ones we want to target. But somehow we have to work with the choices that are available to us. So if I may say that, above the students there are teachers, above the teachers there are administrators, above the administrator there are policy makers, national level policy makers. So this is a system which is kind of hindering this basic growth, and we're not able to bridge what Dr. Priya Ranjan is correctly saying. But my other thought to this is, another viewpoint is, can we not use the same system which is existing and work with the only choice that we have? That given that we need to make our students more interested, to not go to an output based system, to go an outcome based education. There are slight changes that I've seen in my role as an accreditator across the last 10 years. The subjects have changed, how we assess them has changed, but it took little nudge, little pushes. So, but the gradual changes have occurred. Now there is a new component of technology, of AI coming into picture. Why not use the same hierarchy again? Work with it. Why not ask the students that, okay, you will learn some new way of thinking from the teachers, but for that we have to train the teachers. Oh, you have to now know how to drive the student to the correct interest area. Do a outcome based thing, do not do an output based thing. For that, the teachers need to be given a little push from the administrator, the heads of the department, the chancellors, the vice chancellors. That push can be in terms of, please start using AI in this generative form. So there is a little compulsion, but I see that I call it a little push rather than a little compulsion. So some policies or some methods where they are telling the teachers, at least if not in the best way, please use AI to support your manual labors. As a faculty, I would have loved if somehow my assessment suggestions could have come from AI. I come up with whole new class of innovative methods, not just doing projects or capstones or something newer ones. I would have loved that as a teacher when I was doing it. There is one area where teachers can use AI, but that push needs to come from the administrator, that this is how, this is where, use the AI, the existing bare minimum form of AI or Gen AI that you call, use it to empower yourself, use it to support yourself, if not to drive yourself. This push can come from administrators at university level. Now I'm imagining if there is a layer above them also, the policy makers, how can they say that? For example, if I may say two examples, in from July 24, somehow NAC, which is, and again I go up to the policy level, is a national driven accreditation initiative. They somehow have brought in the concepts of, are people using digital technologies? So that's their way of pushing the administrators. Are your teachers aware? Teachers are getting a little push by thinking, oh, students, are you using that in a better way? So somehow I think a top-down push is also needed, even though that's not the best situation. Like Dr. Swami says, there's a system that is hindering the whole thing. But I think that's the only system that probably we can work with. And each one pushes in a gentle way, not so bad way, but kind of drives the AI enablement or absorption of the technology into our day-to-day life.
I'm going to push back strongly against this. In principle, if the top layer is omniscient and understand AI, they can decide what to push, how much to push, which direction to push. And with no disrespect, the top layers have very little understanding compared to the students in high school about what is AI. A high school student in a good environment would have already built agents which talk to other agents. Now, the only agents the top layer is aware of or the newspaper thinks about what is an agent. So with minimal knowledge, they have the maximum authority in the system, which is a problem. And not just that problem, there are 7 layers. The top layer with very little understanding says push here. That gets translated into the next layer which says push there. And it gets more and more people. And what happens is the poor students are getting pushed in completely unproductive ways. And they have no choice or power about it except to cheat. Then you blame the students you are cheating. The problem is and people rise up to being head of the departments, deans, directors, VCs, administrators, based on years in the system, which explicitly at this point disqualifies them from making decisions about how GenAI should be used in the schools and colleges. We risk inertia, we risk wrong pushes, we risk danger of missing this opportunity in India. The opportunity I see, I'm talking about India, is that we have 1.4 billion people and we have like 300 million people who could be uplearned, upskilled if this opportunity of GenAI is properly used. The current hierarchy has completely failed 200, 300 million people in India. What educational attainment has this hierarchy given to students, children, adults across the country? Nothing. Now, to expect this hierarchy to manage this new technology to do better is just not, it's wishful thinking. I would say admit the problem. The current hierarchy has failed. Otherwise, 5th standard kids will not be at the stage majority of states around the country that they can't even do 1st standard math. 6th standard kids cannot read 1st standard level. This is the majority. We don't talk about just high schools and elitarians. So our education system has not benefited the vast majority of the Indian population over the last 75 years of independence. Now, GenAI, my optimistic view, can shake things up so much that hopefully more people will get better way in their lives. So going back to the current administration layers, you can't dismantle them, right? But you have to agree that we don't know enough. Get to the bottom layer. Students and faculty have to drive the change. And fortunately, in this system, we have autonomous universities, which is the best thing that has happened over the last 15 years. There are many very good institutions which have full autonomy. Now, my suggestion to these autonomous institutions is use the autonomy. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. Show the way. Use the autonomy. Change things dramatically. At worst, you will fail. Change again. Iterate. The cost of doing nothing is very high. Cost of failure is learning, and you go to the next step of learning. I think so. I spend so much time as this my research because I feel that here is a once in a lifetime opportunity to undo all the inequity, injustice in the country in terms of opportunities to people across the board. And we need to seize it.
Wonderful. I think the debate is just heating up really, and it's really getting interesting now. Like I was earlier also observing that there is a lot of issues with the way the system is organized and implemented. But really, the intent is uniform across the system. If you ask anyone, they'll say, yeah, we want the student to do well, anywhere in the system. But so assuming that the intent is still the same, but somehow we have kind of a lot of other pathologies that have developed throughout the system. Which brings me to my last question before we open up to the audience. The question of equity, I think Dr. Manohar mentioned that a couple of times as well. The nature of inequity has been there, whether it was before AI as well, and it's been there in the system anyway, right? And given our country, especially with the diversity and size, 1.4 billion people, 22 official languages, and a wide economic disparity, all kinds of disparities all over the place. What is the nature of inequity that can challenge the entry of AI in the educational sector? I'll just give some thoughts and before I leave the floor. One, of course, for example, access is one thing that does every student in the country have access to AI? So we had this digital divide debate earlier. Now we have the AI debate, AI divide debate, that the AI haves and the AI have-nots. But then there are also initiatives like what Google is doing. It's actually making their foundation models available for free to all the students in India, which is a great initiative in its own sense, right? But in addition to that, there are quite a few other challenges as well, not least of which is languages. So there's also this big debate about whether higher education is currently most of our higher education is in English, but whether should it go back to the native languages? Should it be imparted in the native languages? There's also this question about a dearth of content in native languages, and there are some. I recently was reading some work where they're using AI to kind of create NLP pipelines to convert English language content like Wikipedia content into regional languages and so on. I'm not sure whether that solves the problem really. So my response to that was, is it really a question of language that's the problem? Or is it the question of the thought process itself? If you were to ask someone who doesn't know English, who has been completely rooted in a regional culture, their entire thought process could be different about any given issue, right? And about what ails us. And so these are some of the complexities that we have, and that can bring about a lot of questions around equity when it comes to access to education. And so your thoughts on this process. So we'll keep this as the last question.
Thank you. Can I add something?
Sure. Yeah.
So I have a very interesting observation. I spent 12 years in the United States, and I found that students from Eastern Europe and Russia are far more stronger in mathematics as compared to United States. So it's pretty interesting. The country, supposedly the erstwhile left countries and Eastern Europe and Russia have minimal amount of technology in the classroom, right? Even prosperity-wise also they're not doing very well. They have good basic support, but not too prosperous or luxurious. So how did this happen? A country, United States, which used maximum amount of educational technology in all forms possible, could not produce the kind of mathematical skills or scientific skills which Eastern European and Russian countries were producing. So that remains something to be seen, that is it only technology or there are many more factors at work. Now talking about accessibility and equity, right? So I used to teach for 2 months in a village called Dospur in UP. Now Dospur is extremely hot place, okay? The temperature can go 46, 47, and electricity 5 hours will not be possible. Okay, so even students sitting in class is an exercise in itself. Forget about learning math or science or technology or AI. So still, I think the first thing we should do, if we could in schools, is cool some of the schools in hottest areas. That's one problem in UP, which is otherwise peaceful. Now let's jump to Manipur. Are we expecting the kids there to go to school? We don't, because there is a lot of unrest there. So all our country have similarly go to Adivasi areas. There are serious language issues. They don't even speak Hindi. They speak, ho, khadiya, urao, something like that. So they need first translation to Hindi and then Hindi to English. You need 2 layers of translation before they could connect with us. So that really requires a sympathetic teacher to dedicate his or her life in some jungle to, bring those guys up to so-called global standards. Now, how do we deal with this? It's actually not that hard. One of the reasons the way we can deal with is visual media. Nowadays, a lot of media, educational media can be given through visual medium. For example, you're doing a physics exercise that does not need much of language. Chemical exercise, it's not language which defines chemistry, it's the phenomena which defines chemistry, right? Similarly, mathematics. I mean, India used to lead in mathematics using Sanskrit, Pali, right? All those Bodhan things were written in Pali, Prakrit. So languages have been changing, but mathematics has kept up pace. A lot of mathematics has been written in Latin, but that has not, changed anything. We are successfully one way or the other absorb the basic ideas, even though we don't know Latin. Like you see talking to mathematicians, one from Russia and one from United States, they talk very comfortably. They have no issues talking mathematics. They may not write literature together, but mathematics part they figure out very quickly. So it's amazing. So what I'm saying is that what we need to do is that by all means make anything accessible, whether it is AI, good books, Americana, Britannica, does not matter. Our students deserve best of the best knowledge resources. There's no question about it. But there are practical issues. For example, a village like Dospur doesn't have electricity all the time. Second thing is that user's choice. As what I mean by that, student's choice. When we built internet, we thought all the content is freely available, so students will actually read those books, watch educational videos, watch documentaries. But did that happen? No. You look at OECD index, a lot of people, even in a developed country like Belgium, are losing their writing and numeracy skills. Losing. These countries are going from fully developed to less developed. I can tell similar things about United States. I've lived there. I don't know how many of you know, if you go to a Subway shop in United States, the guy cannot calculate change. So what they do is that they will enter $10 and then the rest of the change will come through a machine. Shocking, right? A superpower of knowledge which keeps thumping his chest. Their kids cannot calculate how much change to return. So what I'm saying is that the reality should be looked into perspective, and AI is great. It's a great content, no question about it. But my thing is that content alone does not solve the problem. We should look at content, student, teacher, and the connectivity. They can all be separate in the universe. But until they connect in some organic fashion, interact with each other, learn from each other, impart knowledge to each other, I think the whole enterprise of education may not have lived to the hype we are claiming to. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Should we, Dr. Meeta, if you have any points?
Only to, I completely agree with Dr. Ranjan, and I want to just have one line on that, that yes, that we can use it as as a supporter, as an enabler at this point of time, not to drive every initiative in the education for faculty or students, but just as a supporter to ease up our manual labors or something. So that is one point that I connect with him. However, there's one dimension that I would like to add to your question of equity. There is one question that comes to my mind, that we're talking of AI, which is a higher level skill. When I talk of equity, how many people are digitally or inclined or enabled? That is the main question. I've seen so many senior professors, the best of the professors, they're still reluctant at this stage to even use Moodle because it's just a technology enabled platform. So imagining such audience also, and then expecting that AI should be used or incorporated into the system, but we are far behind because the digital enablement of the people is still happening. So that needs to be given the first push, because that's driving us back in time rather than forward in time. Unless all of us are on a certain established level of digital literacy, digital tools awareness, AI is next step that we keep aiming for. So that is the only thing that I want to throw into the equity point when you mentioned. So that's the only major concern for me in that area.
Very good point. Dr. Manohar?
So let me focus on the language aspect you mentioned. At Microsoft Research India, we have a very strong team which has been working on what are broadly called low resource languages. Low resource is about the technology and funding available to the languages to come into the digital world, not about their richness or their longevity or culture. And the point to be made is, language is not about learning some science or engineering. Language is the repository of culture. And unless every language has the equal opportunity to thrive, we are losing our diversity and culture. So it's not just about a translation, it is about enabling people in the language of their choice. And again, this is the optimistic perspective that AI is bringing, because over the last year and a half, I've been trying Indian languages, and in our lab, we created a methodology called Pariksha, which is to test, evaluate all these models which claimed multilingual performance based on native speakers evaluating the questions that are posed to the AI. And in the last 18 months or so, most models have improved dramatically. And so if you're looking at the school education level, AI can generate content in many Indian languages at a very good quality at this point. And there is a lot of effort in using technology to bring in all of those tribal languages that Dr. Ranjan mentioned. They are being captured, documented, and technologies are being built to enable AI to work with those languages, not through translation, but directly be able to interact with those languages. Those, I think, are feasible with technology, and that is where the hope is that we all don't have to merge to Hindi and English forever. It is going to be every language around the world is going to be valued, and people can continue to exercise, learn, and thrive in their languages. And AI is going to be a great enabler for that. The other access of technology access is a huge problem, but India again has this huge network of connections. The phone connections, the data rates are the lowest in the world. We have 3G connectivity, 4G connectivity, most across the country. And if we move away from this fad of smartphones with powerful screens and stuff and go back to feature phones, which we have another project at Microsoft Research, we use feature phones as devices. Feature phones are the old button phones you think has gone away. These are very powerful, and we are using it to enable children in schools for the blind to connect with the digital world. And if children in schools for the blind can connect, everybody can connect with the digital world if they have a telephone connection. And Indian government has taken over the last few years, building a complete infrastructure which is made in India, and that has made basic calls available. When basic calls are available, anybody with the 800 rupee phone can interact with the AI at the back end. Right? So there is a lot of effort and possibilities with technology to minimize this inequity. And GenAI, I'm hopeful, again, I'm an optimist that there are many threads that are being worked on by many people, very good people, and supported by the government to have Indian languages, equitable access to AI, and so on and so forth. So on that note, I think I will stop. Thank you.
I think that was a wonderful discussion. I think we are definitely running out of time, but we could, in my opinion, at least the discussion is just starting. There's so many interesting points coming up. So I think we can take a couple of very short questions from the audience. I saw a couple of hands coming up and then going down. So should we kind of unmute them, or I'm not sure how this works. So may I request CIPU kind of to help with engaging with the audience in terms of the questions?
Sure. Yes, sir. So participants can raise their hands. Yeah, so Dr. ML Gaur, so I'll just unmute him. Yes, Dr. Gaur.
Yeah, am I visible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. This is Dr. ML Gaur, the Vice Chancellor from Dr. C.V. Raman University, Vaishali in Bihar. As very much told by our speakers, particularly Dr. Priya Ranjan, this AI was already there way back. I did my PhD from IIT Roorkee 25 years back. So my question is regarding the faculty. We have not talked on the faculty. So as the AI transforms the pedagogy, assessment, and content delivery, how can we ensure that the future faculty are not just technically upskilled, but also ethically grounded, emotionally intelligent, and capable for nurturing the human-centric learning in the AI-saturated classrooms or ecosystems? This is my worry as well as question, because this question was discussed a lot in last week in Satya Sai University in Bangalore, and this is human values are losing because of AI. Thank you very much.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, again, so thank you for the wonderful question. Again, I will say what Dinkarji said, सावधान मनुष्य यदि विज्ञान है तलवार तो दे तजकर उसे फेंक स्मृति के पार. AI is not making us lose value. We are using AI to lose our value. I think both are two different things. As a human beings, we are evolving into something cruel, something less sensitive, and possibly less emotional. Maybe because our needs have been met, we like to live now in isolation. Earlier, we were relatively poor, so we needed each other's help much more than now we do. Now we can just park into our apartment and have the attitude that I don't care. Okay, so let's not blame AI for that. Now coming to the faculty part. See, it is faculty who is going to drive AI to solve human problems. AI is what we build. AI is not anything per se. It has no brain of its own despite of all the contrary claims. Right? If we put AI to solve, for example, let's say medical problems, and we have a lot of medical problems, Alzheimer problems is there, elderly support problem is there. I'm here at the conference in Copenhagen. I'm seeing a lot of Japanese are working towards supporting elderly people. On the contrary, you will also see a lot of people now disrespecting elderly people. Is it fault of AI? Should we blame AI for that? Did AI say that you disrespect your elderly people? Second, a lot of progress has been made in supporting accessibility for the people who are Divyang. Did AI say that you don't respect Divyang people? We should be doing something for Divyang people. We should be making the world better for them, as good as we are experiencing the world. So AI is a tool. Let's remember, AI is just a machine. AI is just a software collection. AI is collection of what possibly we have all, kind of information we have collected, let's say, since our genesis of humanity. And that needs to be put to good use. That's what defines humanity. So I would say that all our faculty should take a place that will use all these technologies, not just AI. Maybe it's power technology, maybe it's robotics technology, or anything else, any knowledge or discovery we come up with, towards the betterment of humanity rather than for selfish reason or disturbing others or destroying others. I think the value judgment has to be made by us rather than blaming a machine, blaming a software, blaming a hardware, or blaming a piece of equipment. I think let's look within and take a place that from now on, I will use everything for the betterment of humanity. And I think most of the problems will be solved immediately. Development will automatically become human-centric. Thank you.
Professor Gaur, I think it's a very critical question. And as I said earlier, faculty remain central to the educational enterprise. And it is up to the administration, yourself, for example, to bring in this trust with the faculty that let us work together to utilize Gen AI in the exact ways that you are talking about, ethical, equitable, and not losing our humanity. Keep humanity central. I think that has to come top down, not mandating about what to do and how to do. By example, the top administration has to convey to the faculty who are the critical piece in this puzzle, that humanity, equity, values are all critical, and we respect you, and let us collectively respect this and show by example that this is what the students have to imbibe. This is the primary role of faculty, to be a model for students to emulate, not by technology, not because students will outrun all the faculty in terms of technology and other expertise, but in terms of moral compass, ethical groundedness, and values. That is our principal role. As the old gurus, we have to respect ourselves as faculty, that we are gurus, we are going to do this, and that respect will only come if the faculty feel respected by the administration with the same measure of respect. And as much respect they get is what they will respect the students. And I think I'm so happy that you're putting up with all of our talks and standing on for this long and asking this very important question. Thank you so much.
I think there's one more question among the audience.
Sir, we are actually running out of the time, so there are few raised hands. So maybe if you permit, we can take one or two questions.
Yeah, I think we can take one question.
Sure, we'll take one more questions. So, Dr. Chenu Prasad Rao. Sir, you can unmute yourself. Dr. Chenu Prasad Rao.
Hello. Good evening, sir. Very good evening, sir. So myself, Dr. Chenu M. Prasad Rao, sir. I've been working as a professor in School of Pharmacy, University of Nimrana, sir. Is kind of person, the incorporation of AI tool in the pedagogy of the teaching is okay. Is a very grateful. Sir. The idea is very grateful. It may be useful to the student to improve their knowledge to getting very fastly when compared with the conventional methods. But my simple request is that to make some sort of surveys, especially to parallelly to compare the conventional methodology of the pedagogy methods and also with the AI methodology, what you are incorporating in the teaching. If you make the parallel and if you show the some improvement means a lot of questions will be taken off in the minds of the institutions. So my simple request is that the type of methodology what we are using for the incorporation into the faculty teaching pedagogy with the AI, we need to make one sort of a surveys with the result-oriented things that may give a fruitful result to us, sir. And it also useful to the faculty. The many more people they may be uh, marked to learn many things by using the AI tools in the faculty program. So this is my request, sir. Humble request, and thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Rao. I think it's a good suggestion, but the bottleneck is that nobody really knows how AI should be used to change pedagogy. Everybody has their own pet ideas, but there's
Yes, sir.
no understood method that we can immediately ask and compare. If
Yes,
it is a well-used thing, you can compare two things. The traditional one is 100 years old. The new one, nobody has a clue. And the first thing to do is you have to accept nobody has a clue, and everybody has a responsibility to figure out in their own context, because every university, every college, every faculty is different. India is so diverse. There cannot be a single prescriptive model of this is how we have to use AI. And it has to evolve from the ground up, which is where I keep repeating, every autonomous institution, the leaders have to support the faculty to
yes,
experiment
sir.
without fear, involving
Yes, sir.
students in this experiment and share the knowledge, including especially that of failure. The study you
Yes,
suggest is important because we have to learn from failures, and our society does not like failures. We have to
mm,
change that and say, we tried these four things, three of them failed, and share why they failed. One thing succeeded, which is great. You have learned four things, three very well, one okay because it succeeded. And if every institution around us does this kind of effort, then our
yes,
shared knowledge and understanding of how to use AI will evolve with AI. In this case,
yes,
nobody should be waiting for somebody else to tell us what's the best way, because nobody knows. That much I know. That one thing I know is that nobody knows what and how to do this. That I can
yes.
be very pragmatic about. Everything else is speculation.
Okay,
Thank,
sir. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, sir. Thank you, sir.
If I
Can
can
I add one or two
jump in.
lines? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting like this. So just to summarize my thoughts on both the questions that we got, that somehow I'm a data person, so I like people to give something in terms of data. So my suggestion is, a humble suggestion is, there is one very wonderfully devised written paper from a collaborator of collaboration paper from different universities. Please give it a read if you find it useful. It's called as 10 Dimensions or 4 Levels of AI Readiness Framework. So it's compiled by a lot of, with a lot of research as such. So that can somehow answer both of your questions, because they talk about responsibility and ethical frameworks incorporated, how the management is ready for taking or absorbing AI, and then percolating it across. So there are suggestions or design frameworks which are there. So somehow it is useful to the audience. I would really like you to give it a read, because somehow it might answer a few of the questions or the pertinent questions that each one has. So please do that.
Wonderful. Dr. Priyaranjan wanted to also say something.
Okay, so sir, I think
Okay,
One
yeah.
minute. Can I add something?
yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So my thing is about this survey is that not so much AI, but what kind of AI is being used in which part of India. For example, in Bihar, agriculture AI will be more of use than a software AI. In Bangalore, for obvious reason, a software AI will be far more useful than any other AI. Similarly, you go to Ajodhya, there possibly a religious AI will be far more useful. Very few people know that Ajodhya has more Jain temples than Hindu temples. So what I'm saying is that it will all change with population, local sort of ambitions, incentives, and what that population want to become. India, like it has been said multiple times, has highest cultural entropy. We are such a incredible group of diverse people that one solution will not fit all. So what we need to do is that AI needs to be customized for all these places, all these populations, all these incentives, all these ambitions. In Delhi, possibly a political AI will do very well as compared to any other kind of AI. So I'm saying is that we have to keep these things in perspective. One word, buzzword, AI doesn't solve it all. There is a whole stack of parameters, as in what is people's taste, what do they want, what is the climate like, what is geography like, what is the ambition like, what is the economy like. All these things, the stack needs to be much broader before we dump AI on students' head. That is my understanding. It's far more subtle and I would say sophisticated than just using the hammer of AI to solve all the problems. Thank you.
On that note, I think that's a very fun, wonderful point. We are already 10 minutes over our time. So I would thank all the panel members for this wonderful discussion. Really very interesting points came up. And this is something we could really, I would say this is just the start of such a discussion, and we could take on much farther. But given the time constraints, let us close at this note, and I'll give the floor back to CIPU.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Sure. I'll just take 2 minutes, sir. I'll do the vote of thanks. Just take 2 minutes. Yes. So, as we come to the close of this insightful session, on behalf of Confederation of Indian Private University, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our moderator, Dr. Srinath Srinivasa. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and moderate the session very well. Thank you so much. And then the panelists, Dr. Priya Ranjan, Dr. Meeta Kumar, and Dr. Swami Manohar, for sharing their valuable time, expertise, and perspective on the evolving role of AI in research. Your contribution have truly enriched our understanding and inspired new ways of thinking. And a big thank you for to our participants for enthusiastic engagement, thoughtful questions, and for being a part of this important conversation. And the last thing is that, as I told, like my colleague Snehal already told, that it is a 5-part webinar series. So third webinar on this series, that is the topic is that AI ethics and governance in higher education institution. That will be on 29th of August, and we already shared the link to register in the chat box, so participant can register. Thank you so much, everyone, again for joining and sharing your
Thank you, Mr. Srinath. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.